The storm and the secret. If you had told me a year ago that a thunderstorm and a missing laundry basket would kick off the biggest secret of my life, I'd have laughed at you. But sometimes, the most unexpected things slip through the cracks, just like I did. My name was Evan Riley, and I was 13 the night everything began. It had rained all afternoon. Thick, summer rain that drenched the sidewalks and flooded the backyard. By the time I got home from my friend Brandon's house, my sneakers were squishing with every step. Mom met me at the door with a frown and a towel. "You're soaked. Upstairs now. Get those wet clothes off and run a hot bath. I don't want you getting sick." I nodded and bolted up the stairs, peeling off my shirt and hoodie as I went. When I reached the bathroom, I realized something crucial: no towels. Just an empty rack and the smell of lavender soap. "Mom," I shouted. "There's no towel in here." She hollered back from downstairs, "Check the laundry room." I just folded some. Still dripping, I tiptoed down the hall and into the laundry room. Sure enough, a warm, fluffy towel sat on top of the basket. I grabbed it and ran back, slamming the door shut behind me. That's when I saw it, something clinging to the towel. A pair of soft, pink underwear. I froze. They weren't just any underwear, they were my older sister Ava's. She was 16 and effortlessly cool in a way I could never explain. Confident, athletic, unbothered. Her world was completely different from mine. I should have tossed them aside. I didn't. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the way the fabric shimmered. Maybe it was because I'd always felt off, like something didn't quite fit in my reflection. I don't know what possessed me, but I slowly pulled them on. They were snug, smooth, and strangely comforting. My breath hitched as I looked down at myself. I didn't recognize what I saw, and somehow I didn't want to take them off. I wore them under my pajamas that night. Ava didn't notice. Neither did my parents. And the world didn't end. The next morning I felt guilty, like I'd stolen something sacred. But I couldn't stop thinking about how it made me feel safe, aligned, right in a way I'd never understood before. That day at school was torture. Not because of anything that happened, but because I couldn't stop thinking about it. The fabric. The comfort. The strange excitement. I even skipped basketball practice just so I could get home early and sneak another pair. That's when it happened. I crept into Ava's room like a thief. Her closet was cracked open. I slipped in and carefully pulled out her top drawer. Lacy things. Cotton things. Colors and textures I'd never really noticed until now. And then the doorknob clicked. Seriously? I froze. Ava was standing in the doorway, arms crossed. Her eyes flicked from me to the panties in my hand. "You're going through my stuff," she said coldly. It's not what you think." "Really?" she said, stepping inside. "Because it looks like my little brother has a thing for my underwear." My face burned. I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. "I'm not gonna scream," she said finally. "But I want the truth." I don't know why I did it," I said, voice cracking. I felt weird. And it felt right. And I'm sorry. Ava looked at me for a long time. Then she walked over and shut the door. "Sit down." I obeyed, confused and terrified. She grabbed a pair of pastel blue boy shorts and handed them to me. "If you're gonna take something, at least ask. And for God's sake, don't ruin the lace ones. Those are expensive." I blinked. "You're not mad." "Oh, I'm furious," she said with a crooked smile. "But not for the reason you think." I looked up at her confused. "I'm mad you didn't tell me sooner," she said. "Because now I have to teach you how to actually wear these properly." Cloud with rain, the secret sister pact. From that moment on, Ava became my silent protector. She gave me hand-me-downs she didn't want, helped me shave my legs in secret, even taught me how to walk without tripping in flats. We never told our parents. This was our world, hidden behind locked bedroom doors and folded laundry piles. I started to feel more like me than I ever had before. But secrets don't stay hidden forever. Not when Mom found a pair of Ava's old leggings in the back of my drawer. Not when Dad started asking why I never wanted to play baseball anymore. Not when I caught Ava staring at me differently, like she saw something she hadn't expected. Like she was seeing me. The dare that went too far. It had been 2 weeks since my sister Ava found out. 2 weeks since the night I stood frozen in her bedroom, clutching a pair of her underwear like a shoplifter caught mid-theft. 2 weeks since she shut the door behind her and said, "If you're gonna do this, at least do it right." And for 2 weeks, we lived in this strange, silent pact where Ava would slide something across the hallway when no one was watching. A lip gloss, a scrunchie, a silky tank top she said never really suited her anyway. Each gift came with rules. I could only dress when no one else was home. I had to put things back exactly where I found them. And under no circumstances was I to tell anyone. But it wasn't just dress up anymore. It felt like breathing. Like something had been locked away inside me and was slowly finding its voice. I even gave that part of me a name. Emily. I never said it aloud, never wrote it down. But when I looked in the mirror in Ava's old sundress and brushed out hair, I whispered it in my mind like a spell. Emily. I'm Emily. Just for tonight. Cyclone the public dare. You're getting better at eyeliner, Ava said one afternoon, leaning on the bathroom counter as I tried and failed to perfect a wing. Liar, I muttered. I look like a raccoon with anxiety. Ava laughed. Okay, fair. But at least you don't look like a busted mime anymore. I threw a makeup wipe at her. She dodged it easily. Tell you what, she said, grabbing the lipstick from my hand. You're almost ready. For what? She smiled, and I didn't like the way it curved. It was her dare smile. Let's go out. Just a walk. You, me, and Emily. I froze. You're joking. I'm not. Outside? Like, public outside. You've been doing this for weeks now. I think it's time Emily sees the sun. I shook my head. Too risky. What if someone sees me? What if Mom and Dad come back early? I'll handle it, Ava said, already pulling her coat from the hook. 10 minutes. Sidewalk loop. You can even wear a mask if that makes you feel better. Crescent moon the night walk. 5 minutes later, I stood by the front door in borrowed jeans, a hoodie that used to be hers, and the softest sports bra I had ever felt under it. My heart pounded like a drumline. You're shaking, Ava whispered. You okay? I don't know if I can do this. You don't have to. But if you do, even for just one block, I promise you'll never forget how it feels. She held the door open. The night was quiet. No cars. Just the sound of sprinklers in the distance and the hum of porch lights. I stepped outside. With each step, the world felt heavier and lighter all at once. I was terrified. Every window felt like an eye watching me. Every creak of gravel underfoot sounded like a siren. But then Ava took my hand. And we walked. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't pretending. High voltage, the near discovery. We made it to the end of the block. I was breathing easier. The wind felt good against my skin. My hands stopped shaking. And then a car pulled around the corner. Headlights. Panic surged through me like ice. I ducked behind a mailbox. Relax, Ava said, pulling me up. It's just Mr. Rosenthal. He's half blind and drives like a sloth on NyQuil. Still, I wasn't ready. I tugged my hood up, turned away, and kept my head down. The car passed. Ava laughed. You're such a drama queen. I almost died. You were never more alive, she shot back. I hated how right she was. Fork a knife with plate, the family dinner incident. But the real scare came 2 nights later. Ava and I had barely spoken since our walk. We were both waiting to see what would happen next. Then came Sunday dinner, the one time of the week our whole family sat down together. Halfway through the lasagna, Mom looked across the table and said, Evan, did you take something out of Ava's laundry? I froze. No, I said way too quickly. She raised an eyebrow. Her pale pink hoodie went missing. You haven't seen it. Ava cleared her throat. I think I left it in the car. Probably fell under the seat. Mom narrowed her eyes like she didn't quite buy it. I couldn't speak. Couldn't swallow. Ava gave me the slightest nod from across the table, a silent "I've got you." I excused myself early and fled upstairs. The pink hoodie, the one I'd worn during our walk, was in the laundry hamper in my closet. I nearly cried as I folded it and tucked it deep into the back of Ava's drawer that night. Performing arts, but something changed. The next morning, Ava was waiting for me in the hallway. Next time, she whispered, don't forget to check the hamper. I panicked. I covered for you. Again. I know. I'm sorry. She stared at me for a long time, then asked something I didn't expect. Do you want to talk to someone about this? I blinked. Like, who? Like someone who gets it. A real person. Not just me. I was silent. Because I think maybe this is more than just a phase. I swallowed hard. I think you're trying to find yourself, Emily. Hearing that name out loud for the first time felt like lightning and rain all at once. I nodded. I think so too. Secrets have a way of slipping out. Every night, I'd go to bed as Evan. But in the quiet moments, after the door was locked and the world had hushed, I became Emily. Not as a costume. Not as a joke. But as a truth I didn't yet have the courage to say out loud. Ava knew that. Maybe even before I did. Woman with headscarf, a stranger who knew me. One Friday after school, Ava picked me up instead of Mom, which was weird. I didn't think much of it until we didn't head home. Where are we going? I asked as she drove past our street. You'll see, she said, smiling like she knew a secret I didn't. We pulled up to a small cafe tucked between a bookstore and a hair salon. Cozy. Quiet. No one from school would ever be caught dead here. Inside, sitting at a back corner booth with 2 cups of tea, was a woman about Ava's age. Maybe a little older. She had short purple hair, chunky earrings, and a cardigan with more buttons than seemed necessary. This is Reese, Ava said, nudging me forward. She's a friend of mine. She knows a little bit about people like you. I froze. My chest tightened. People like me? Reese smiled gently. You must be Emily. I didn't know what to say. Ava hadn't warned me. She hadn't even told me we were meeting someone, let alone someone who knew everything. But Reese didn't push. She just talked. About how confusing it can be when you're young and discovering pieces of yourself you've never seen before. About how gender can feel like a box that doesn't quite fit, or like something you've been afraid to open. She talked about her own journey, not as someone who transitioned, but as someone who helped others do so safely. And she said something that stuck with me. You're not broken, Emily. You're becoming. Camera with flash, the school photo disaster. I started to think maybe I could do this. Maybe there was a path forward. Until picture day. I hated photos. I always felt fake in them. Mom picked out a stiff button-down shirt for me to wear, but all I saw in the mirror was someone I didn't recognize. That morning, Ava caught me scowling at myself. Want to borrow something softer, she offered, holding up a pale lilac undershirt she'd outgrown. I hesitated, but nodded. I wore it under the button-down. Hidden. Secret. But it made all the difference. I felt less hollow. At school, things went fine until lunchtime. That's when Darren, the worst kind of loudmouth, came up behind me and yanked at my collar. Dude, what the heck are you wearing? He snorted, pulling the neckline wide enough to see the lilac lace. A few people laughed. Someone whistled. My ears burned. Is that your sister's shirt or your girlfriend's? Another boy chimed in. I yanked away and ran straight to the nurse's office. I lied about a stomachache. But inside, I was imploding. That night, I didn't eat dinner. I told Mom I was tired. Ava sat outside my room, knocking twice but not coming in. When I finally opened the door, I didn't say a word. I just hugged her. And cried. Soaped the purge. The next day, I did something I thought I'd never do. I gathered up everything, the borrowed clothes, the lip gloss, the hair ties, even the little notebook where I'd scribbled Emily over and over, and dumped it into a paper bag. Then I snuck outside and shoved it in the trash bin behind the garage. Buried it. I told myself it was over. That being Emily had been a mistake. A fantasy I couldn't afford to believe in anymore. But I didn't sleep that night. Because dreams don't care what you throw away. Magnifying glass stilted left the unexpected discovery. 3 days later, Ava stormed into my room holding the paper bag. I was looking for my blue sweater, she said, her voice cracking. Found this in the trash instead. I was done with it, I muttered. It was stupid. She sat down hard on the edge of my bed. No. What's stupid is thinking you have to do this alone. I didn't answer. She reached into the bag and pulled out the notebook. Opened it to a page where I'd written, Emily isn't real. Emily is a lie. Emily is wrong. Ava looked at me and said, "She's not a lie. And she's not wrong." I didn't cry this time. But something inside me cracked open. Fire a turning point. That weekend, Ava did something unthinkable. She took me shopping. Not for girl clothes. Not yet. But for a journal, a scented candle, a beanie in a soft purple hue that made me feel seen without screaming my secret to the world. She let me walk next to her, not like a burden or a freak, but like someone who mattered. She didn't call me Evan that whole day. She just called me Em. The party, the betrayal, and the letter. It had been almost 2 months since I first stepped into my sister's pink hoodie and tried to pretend it wasn't more than just playing dress up. Now, things were different. I wasn't just wearing girl clothes in secret, I was starting to live between two names. Evan was who the world saw. Emily was who I felt myself becoming, even if only in quiet corners. And Ava? She wasn't just a sister anymore. She had become a lifeline. Until the night she nearly broke my heart. Balloon the family birthday party. It was Ava's idea. Her exact words were, "I think it's time Emily meets more than just me." I stared at her stunned. "You want me to come out?" "No," she said quickly. "Not that. I mean, dip a toe. Try on confidence." A soft version of Emily low-key. Unreadable to most, visible to you. It sounded possible. Terrifying, but possible. The occasion? Aunt Sherry's birthday dinner. Dozens of relatives, half of whom I barely knew, all crammed into our grandma's lake house with casseroles and chaos. We planned it carefully. I wore slim-fit jeans, a soft sweater from the girls' section Ava had accidentally outgrown, and my hair brushed differently, not styled exactly, but softened. Ava even let me use a tinted lip balm. "You look like yourself," she whispered as we pulled up to Grandma's. "Which one?" I asked nervously. She smiled. "The one that makes you glow." Wine glass trouble in the living room. The first hour went fine. No one batted an eye. A few aunts said I looked healthier or more grown-up. Uncle Ray asked if I'd lost weight. Classic oblivious adult comments. But then came Zach. My cousin. 17. Too loud, too nosy, too proud of his cologne and his biceps. He sauntered over while I was getting a soda. "Hey, Ev," he said, narrowing his eyes. "You look different." "New shirt." "Yeah," I said, praying he'd walk away. He didn't. "Is that makeup?" "It's just lip balm." He snorted. "That's a girl's brand. I've seen my sister use that." I didn't respond. I didn't have to, because Ava appeared behind him like a ghost. "Wow, Zach," she said coolly. "What a detective you are. Maybe next you can solve the mystery of why nobody likes you." People nearby laughed. Zach turned red and stomped off. But I was shaken. I had expected stares, maybe whispers, not direct confrontation. Hold the bathroom breakdown. I hid in the guest bathroom for 20 minutes. Tried to calm my breathing. Tried to convince myself that Ava had my back. But then I heard something. Voices outside the door. "I just don't want to encourage it too much," someone said. It was Ava's voice. My breath caught. "What do you mean?" another cousin asked. "I mean, it's not like he's actually a girl," Ava said. "He's just figuring stuff out. It's a phase." "Probably." I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from gasping. "A phase?" Ava, the only person who saw me, just said it was a phase? Everything collapsed inside me. Packing up Emily. That night, after we got home, I went straight to my room. I didn't slam the door. I didn't cry. I just stopped. I took the lip balm and tossed it in the trash. I pulled out the soft clothes, the beanie, the ribbon Ava had helped me tie into my hair one night, and shoved them into a shoebox. Then I pushed the box under my bed like it had never existed.